Hello and welcome back to Fandom Fridays, where we proceed to check out all the fanfics that are not pony related. Why? Well, sometimes we do need to give those horses a break because otherwise they are going to get themselves tired. Well, what a crazy few weeks it's been so far, huh? We've seen a Sailor Moon crossover that was insane. We've had to endure my own stories. And otherwise, everything else has been pretty good. So, how can we wrap up a returnally good day, huh? I know. Let's check out a cool Metroid crossover, shall we? I mean, sure, Metroid is a pretty good game franchise, and there's always been plenty of fun to have, with the exception of one certain game that shall not be named for fear of retribution. And we've all had a good time playing a good Metroid game, so surely there's got to be a whole bunch of good crossovers we can get, especially space ones. Let's see what we got. This sounds good. A Metroid and Mass Effect crossover. Let's enjoy. As we here in the Treeberry Memorial Library are proud to present Corrupt Elements by Prehistoric Echoes. Corrupt Elements by Prehistoric Echoes. Commander Sheppard reclined in his chair. Wait, Commander Sheppard could be a guy?
Yes, you know this. That's one of the options when you first load up Mass Effect.
I thought he was always a woman.
No, that's just the way you've been playing her.
But I thought she was a badass lesbian hero who nukes giant reapers with a freaking cane.
No. That's how you play her. This guy obviously is playing his Commander Sheppard as a male.
Can you do that?
Yes, it's entirely possible.
It seems so wrong to play Commander Sheppard as a guy.
Yes, it is a guy.
But what about the romance with Liara?
Might not have it in this one.
But how can you? They're so cute together.
They could be doing a Tali romance.
But what about Tali and Garrus?
That's one way the story can go.
Oh. Fine. We'll go through his Let's Play of the game. We'll go through how he plays his Sheppard. But I shall warn you, though, I will not stand for anybody else playing my Sheppard without my permission.
Fine.
So anyway, back to his Sheppard. Reading a short news report on his tablet in the mess hall of the Normandy SR-1. It had been 2 short years since Saren's attack on the Citadel, and Sheppard had been left with very little to do. His crew had drifted apart, pursuing their own lives after the battle. He had attempted to keep in touch with them. He learned that Tali Zora had gone to be accepted on Anima, and was working for her people once again. Liara had moved to Ilium, becoming an information broker. Sheppard had been worried about the Asari, as her methods were starting to resemble some of her mother's actions. Rex had returned to Chunkunga for some reason. His responses to Sheppard's message were rather Spartan, leaving the commander rather in the dark as to the Krogan's actions. Ashley Williams had been transferred to civilian detail on several missions, but remained rather decent contact with Sheppard. Her last email reported that she was going to go to the World Horizon for classified reasons. Garrus, however, had nearly dropped out of contact. His last message to Sheppard was dated over a year ago. He said he was going to the asteroid city of Omega in order to help the citizens there. That was it. Sheppard was worried that the Turian had gotten himself into more trouble, or worse. Still, the former CSEC officer was stubborn. It would probably take more than a few thieves, robbers, or mercs to take him down. The Normandy had also been improved at the Spectre and Savior of the Citadel's request. The engines had been tweaked, making them more powerful. His quarters had been updated, making them a bit more comfortable living space. He had also added Thanix cannons to his ship's primary arsenal, as per Garrus' request. The Turian said that if he ever came back, he could help calibrate the engines for Sheppard. Congratulations! You finally found a way to use that meme! Engineer Adams sat across from Sheppard and was discussing more recent developers with Dr. Chakwas.
So, you hear about the new drive experiments our galactic ideas have been showing off?
He asked the doctor, smiling.
It puts some of our Element Zero cores to shame. I forgot what they were using. Phazon, was it?
The doctor nodded, but was not as enthusiastic about the developments.
I do agree that the substance produces great power, but it has me studying for 2 years now, trying to keep up with the medical science around it, she replied. It's poisonous and parasitic to alien organic life forms. Not exactly something I would want powering my ship.
I don't know, Doc, Adams said. What about you, Commander? You think we should get Normandy a new Phazon core? Sheppard shrugged. He had heard of the new technology, and had been in contact with a new race. In mid-2183, during Sheppard's mission to take down Saren, a new race had opened a mass relay to the settled space. The aliens, known as the Fargrasians, had provided hundreds of new technologies to galactic civilization. Most of these technologies were based on radioactive substance they called Phazon, which was found on many worlds. Thanks to their abundant boons to the rest of the galaxy, the Fargrasians had been accepted onto the Citadel.
I doubt you want to adapt the engines to work with Phazon,
Sheppard told Adams, smiling. Remember how long the Alliance spent just trying to keep up with the stealth systems of this drive? No point in making another bleeding-edge drive out of a new substance.
Adams nodded. I understand that,
he said. I wonder what Joker would think if we got one. Sounds like he may have a kick.
I still don't know,
Chakwas said.
The Fargrasians have had access to Phazon for hundreds, if not thousands of years. They may have built up a resistance to it. The rest of us have had a pretty poor track record with it, though. I once observed a case of Phazon madness in a trooper that had been to a mine once. The experience was unsettling.
Sheppard nodded. Don't worry, Doctor, he added. I'll doubt we'll be using Phazon in the Alliance anytime soon.
Chakwas nodded.
This is good, since it's still an unproven technology outside the Talon Spur. I don't think the Council should be so trusting of it.
Adams rolled his eyes.
It's just like any other tech, Doc. It's meant to be used. Nothing more than the glowing blue rocks to be plugged into the starship cores and weapons to power them.
Phazon growths are not rocks, the ship's doctor corrected. It's cellular in nature. It's self-replicating. It's a life form of sorts. That is why it is so dangerous around organics, and it tends to use us to reproduce.
Adams frowned. True. He started slightly, remembering what it would be like to have Phazon growing on one itself. He had seen pictures of Marines with Phazon corruption on their bodies. Long blue veins of the substance wrapped along their skin, with blue-colored bruises where the liquid forms of the substance was pooling. It was never pretty.
Commander?
Joker's voice came from over the intercom. Sheppard looked up.
What is it, Joker?
You have a incoming transmission from Admiral Hackett. You should come up here. Sounds pretty urgent. Speaking of which, ever consider getting me an AI core up here named Edie? I really kind of feel lonely up here.
Fine. We'll see about it later.
Sheppard nodded and stood up from the table.
I'll be there in a minute, Joker.
He nodded to Adams and Chakwas as a goodbye, and began to walk up by the stairs by the bridge. The room was crewed sparsely. The Normandy had been operating on a skeleton for the past year now. Hunting for Geth was rather tedious and uneventful. Sheppard walked up to the large hologram of the galaxy that dominated the rear center of the bridge. The galaxy hologram pinged off.
Passing into Commander, Admiral Sheppard,
Joker announced. A hologram of Admiral Hackett appeared. Even as nothing more than a column of intangible light, the Admiral had a commanding presence. His age, uniform, and even posture showed the authority he held in the Alliance. Sheppard saluted him.
"At ease, Sheppard,"
he said.
You called?"
the commander asked.
"Yes,"
Hackett said.
"The situation has developed. One of our colonies developed joint with the Fargrasians has gone silent. We believe it to be under attack. Do you think it has anything to do with the recent vanishings of colonies near Terminus, Admiral?"
Sheppard inquired.
"No,"
Hackett responded.
"Before the attack, we received a transmission that vessels of an unknown profile had appeared in the system. Shortly after, a Fargrasian convoy sent a single message: space pirates."
"Pirates taking out a colony?" Sheppard asked.
"That's unprecedented. It usually takes joint operations between massive groups of slavers for anyone to put a colony silent." The Admiral nodded. That would be true if these were normal space pirates. He informed the commander. We believe the message is referring to Sebastians, the other race that presides in the Talon Spur. They've been a problem, but they never attacked a garrison human colony before. What do you need me to do then?
Sheppard asked.
The Admiral answered, I need you to go to our colony in the planet Orion. There, you may need to find out what the pirates want with our colony. Search for survivors. It is highly possible that the colony is being jammed at the very moment. With any luck, it can still be saved.
Sheppard nodded.
I'll do my best, Admiral. I know you will, Commander. Hack it out.
The Admiral's hologram disappeared, and was replaced with the galaxy again.
You heard him, Joker, Sheppard announced. Take us over to Orion.
Already on our way, Commander, Joker responded. ETA 2 hours. You better suit up. I doubt these pirates will just lay down their guns as soon as we arrive. Sheppard nodded and walked back downstairs to retrieve his armor. This was his first involvement in the Talon Spur, the area of space that the Pharisans called home. He had hoped he wouldn't end up creating some sort of diplomatic incident.
Codex updated. Transmitting data.
Aliens, non-council races, Pharisans. The Pharisans are the tough, hardy resistance of the frozen moon Pharisans, orbiting the planet known as Best. First making contact with the Council in 2183. They have provided a rather large wealth of technology to the galactic economy. Economics! Due to this, they were swiftly granted an embassy on the Citadel and become fairly influential in the politics of Citadel space. Pharisans are tall, tough, honorable aliens. Their society values the individual, but focuses on the group, enforcing a strict silver-rated code and swift justice. Pharisans who break this code are often excommunicated from social groups, ranging from local to national governments. The Pharisans are responsible for bringing Phazon to the rest of the galaxy, as it has proved a vital part of many of their technologies for as long as their civilization has extended. It has proven to be their supplement to Element Zero and substitute for nuclear power, providing clean and efficient dry cores for their starships. As long as you ignore the mutation, the radiation, the madness, the killing, and the monsters kind of coming from it, Phazon's great! Aliens, non-council races, space pirates. Though they call themselves Sebastians, space pirates have proven to be a much more reliable and accurate moniker. An economic race native to the yet located planet of Rotok, the space pirates are a caste-based collection of species within a large family of creatures. Space pirate society seems to be based more or less on two tenets, for science and for technology. They often raise starships or colonies for technology, resources, or simply because they can. Prisoners they take are used in gruesome scientific experiments they perform. It is believed that this experimentation on their own race has produced many variations of space pirates seen today. Pirate variants include workers and soldiers, commanders and leaders, each radically different from another in outward performance. Anomically and genetically, however, the variants are not much different. Like the Pharisans, the pirates have a high reliance on Phazon for their technology. Technology, Phazon. Phazon is a strange, radioactive subject native to the Talon Spur. Upon first examination, Phazon resembles blue mineral crystals, veins, and nodules. Its appearance could not be further from the truth. Studies have shown that Phazon is actually an exotic, mineral-resembling life form. It is capable of self-replication using both inorganic and organic substances to fuel its reproduction. It proliferates faster on organic material. When Phazon grows on animal lives, it can consume tissue and replace it with Phazon matter. Eventually, surges of radiation from the substance begins to affect the nervous system, which can cause a type of violent insanity known as Phazon madness. Phazon is also capable of mutating life forms' genetic codes and can cause strange alterations to a species' phenotype and phenotype within one generation. Oftentimes, these alterations will benefit the Phazon in some way. How the substance controls this is unknown. Due to its dangerous properties, the Citadel Council has still not warranted its use on non-Federation technology in Council space. Lord Ridley, Chapter 2, Battle of Norion. Self-proclaimed and defending leader of the space pirates, stood on the bridge of his flagship, a small frigate called the Orpheon. The ship was large compared to what the pathetic human alliance called a frigate, but relatively small when compared to the largest ships in his navy. It suited the Lord's needs, though. It had plenty of areas for hauling stolen tech and preserving animal life in stasis, and plenty of lab complexes gave his men places to perform their experiments while on the go. Another feature Ridley enjoyed was the beautifully massive view the Orpheon's bridge provided. The front of the room was rimmed by a large window several meters thick, providing the command staff with an excellent view of the battlefield. It gave him and his advisors a view to make decisions when holographic displays appeared to be exhibiting errors. It also was rather assertive of dominance when one's opponent was willing to put himself in the most dangerous position just to show he expected to come out of the fight. Ridley, being the leader of the cast of space pirates, looked less like his subordinates and more like a 10-foot tall medieval dragon or gargoyle. He had the long head reminiscent of a prehistoric predadon and a deep, piercing orange eyes. His skin was a deep blackish purple. He wore tight, form-fitting armor colored black, and ultimately blending in with his skin. The space around his ship was a mess, the Lord observed. The human alliance had put up a decent fight, but their small amount of ships here was no match for Ridley's invading fleet. He had brought 5 cruisers with him, which was more than enough. The massive ships, which looked like 3 long prongs extended from cylindrical core and engines, had decimated the human ships in orbit. Now his ships were preparing to send troops planet-side in order to attack the colonies. Then came the bulk of the attack, but that was not for now. Ridley pressed a button, activating the fleet-wide intercom through which he relayed his orders.
All right, attach those ships,
he announced, gathering attention.
Assemble your ground teams. Prepare to attack the human garrison. We need to destroy their anti-ships before bringing in our gift.
The space pirate lord smiled and added,
Kill all you want. Have fun.
He watched his hangar bays on the other ships open, and shuttle pits began to pull out, carrying hundreds of ground troops to take on the Alliance's ground forces. After that, the real fun would begin.
Lord Ridley!
An officer called, walking towards his dragon-like commander. His tone suggested that there was a problem.
What is it?
Ridley growled, somewhat annoyed.
We have detected new signature dropping out of FTL,
the insectoid pirate officer informed.
Its profile matches the description of the human starship known as the Normandy. The ship vanished off our sensors as soon as we detected it.
Ha! Take that, pirates! Let's see you handle a couple stealth drives from the Normandy! Ridley cocked his head slightly.
The fabled Commander Sheppard's vessel,
he asked, a menacing smile crossing his ugly face. He had heard the stories of the so-called hero of the Citadel. Sadly for him, fancy titles would not be enough to take down the space pirates.
Well, let us see how powerful this human can be. Let him land. Make his pilot think we're winning. Ground troops will see us. That's how great this brilliant commander is.
The officer bowed.
It shall be done, my lord.
Sheppard, clad in his full N7 armor. It's still so weird to say Sheppard and his and being male, because I'm so used to playing Sheppard as a woman. A breather helmet stood on the bridge of the Normandy as it dropped out of FTL and into standard space. The blue shifted light in front of the ship disappeared, replaced with a black field dominated with stars. Dominating the view, however, was the blue-green mass that was the Alliance planet of Norion. The first thing the commander thought of was the 5 massive ships in orbit. They had a menacing appearance to them, looking more like some alien undersea creature than starships. The reddish black hulls were bristled with spine-like guns. Each ship was made of 3 long, teardrop-shaped structures attached to a cylindrical centrifuge where the main cannon and engine sat. The cells were buzzing out of the hangars along the hulls, no doubt carrying the troops to the ground bases to continue the assault. Floating between their ships was the wreckage of the Alliance fleet that had been stationed over Norion before the attack. The burnt-down husks now floated lifelessly about the ether, their hulls still glowing from wherever the blast had hit them.
Shit!
Joker cursed. Thank God for the stealth drive. When I heard it was the space pirates, I didn't think he would be this powerful.
You heard Hackett, Sheppard said. Evidently their race is known by that term.
You know, they have to be evil to use the term space pirates to describe their race, Joker quipped. Sheppard merely shook his head at the bad jest. Suddenly, the column came to burst to life. Transmission was filled with static, but was nearly readable.
This is Fleet Admiral Castor Dane. Ain't many losses. Anyone out there? Read. Is anyone out there?
Can you clear up the signal? Sheppard asked. Joker began to tap madly at the console, trying to get a fix on the transmission. The feed broke through, almost static-free.
This is Fleet Admiral Castor Dane of the SS Olympius. We have sustained heavy losses. Is anyone out there? Repeat, is anyone out there?
Sheppard pressed a button on the console, searching a link for the ship. "This is the SFV Normandy, Admiral," he announced. "Do you need assistance?" There was a moment of awestruck silence. "Commander Sheppard," the Admiral asked, stunned. "Never mind. We do need help. My dreadnought's been holding down position over the garrison ground side, trying to prevent those cruisers from getting down here. Planet defenses are holding, but there's a hell of a lot of pirates coming on down. We're moving to assist." "Acknowledged," the Admiral replied. "Head to exterior docking area Alpha. There should be enough space for the Normandy to land. You'll need to meet up with the Marines in the base to help defend it from the pirates. With luck, those cruisers just might make a run for the base, and we can take them out with the main weapons defenses." "Sheppard 9, we're on our way," he said, closing to transmission. "Joker, take us in nice and quietly," he ordered. The pilot nodded. "Don't you think it would be better if had a crew or something to take you?" he asked. Sheppard frowned. Ever since his own crew had drifted apart, most of his help came from Alliance Marines that would transfer to the Normandy. They were usually brought in for just one mission, leaving Sheppard relatively alone when intercepting distress calls. Sounds like this when he really began to miss his old crew. "And I'm missing the Mass Effect 2 crew, considering my love for that game." "Looks like I'll have to go solo on this one," Sheppard said. "With luck, there'll be people down there who could give me a hand. I doubt they'll make one person hold off an invasive force." "Juggernaut, just stay safe down there, Commander. Last thing I need you is dying on my watch. Doesn't look good on a resume." The Sheppard then turned to head for the cargo bay. From there, he would exit to the Norian base. The Normandy passed through Norian's atmosphere and flew down over the base. The base had been shambled together rather quickly in about a year. It was made of a central spire that stood in the middle of a large sinkhole. Level with the surface stood four large landing platforms with an overhang just high enough to allow frigates to land. Outside the landing platforms were generator and weapon facilities, upon which sat the Guardian laser defense towers. Floating above the southwestern corner of the base was the SSV Olympus. The bow was already raging when the Normandy arrived. Space pirate shuttles were attempting to land troops all about the fire base. Many were getting gunned down by the golden beams fired by the Guardian lasers, but others were able to slip past and offload their troops. Shots of explosives were visible across the base. Joker eyed the exterior docking area. It was just large enough to fit the Normandy in. It would take a skilled pilot to slip into that tiny makeshift hangar. "Gonna be a tight fit, Commander," the pilot said to the intercom. "We're going in!" The Normandy banked towards the docking bay. The pirate ships zipping around the skies above the base seemed to ignore the new frigate, instead focusing more on the few Alliance fighters that were attempting to take down their shuttles. Tucker slid the starship into the docking bay and brought it to a halt. He pressed the button to open the hangar bay on Deck 3. "All right, Commander, you're clear," he told Sheppard. Sheppard watched on the door onto the hangar slowly lowered itself, becoming a gangplank to the ground. He grabbed his M97 Viper sniper rifle off his back and ready for battle. He checked his Omni tool and readied his tech powers, and then rushed off to the hangar and onto the landing platform.
"Wait, you mean he's not an adept in this one?" No, that's just how he plays it. But Sheppard's also when he's an adept. He gets to do all these psychic things and starts throwing people and, pull and push and starts using little black holes. It's awesome when I do it. Yes, but this is how he plays the game.
Fine. I guess I'll go with a non-adept Commander Sheppard without all the cool psychic powers. A Marine was already there to meet him. He wore standard issue Alliance armor, but appeared slightly modified. The visor was blue and obscured his face. It was also colored a rather iridescent gray, rather than the usual dull off-white most of Alliance armor suits. "Sheppard!" the Marine shouted. "Gunnery Sergeant Benet, at your service. The Admiral told me you was on the way." "What's the situation?" Sheppard inquired. The sergeant waited for Sheppard to follow. It quickly began leading him toward the spire in a run. "This is bad. The pirates are trying to take down the main defense cannon on the top of the central spire. They're going for the detonators. We've been able to hold them off at Alpha and Gamma, but generator bay has been hard. If we lose even one, the Guardians shut off, and the main gun becomes inoperable." "Main gun?" "At the top of the spire is a high-powered Thanix cannon," the Marine explained. "It's meant for taking out the larger ships that attack the colony. If it goes down, I rate it that those pirate cruisers are going to make a run for the planet." Sheppard nodded. "Is anyone defending Beta?" he asked as they entered the spire. Debris led them through the spire, toward the entrance to the beta landing platform, and the path to the generator. There was a squad of Marines over there earlier, but they haven't reported in a while, Bennett replied. But I think that Physician Merc went out to help out. If he's still alive, he'll be there.
Physician Merc?
Yeah. The gunnery sergeant responded, stopping in front of a circular door. The brass wanted him to go after some biotic convict or something. It looked like there's been a change of plans. The Marine pressed a button on the door, opening it. I've got orders to seal the spire after you leave. My squad's been assigned to defend the main tower at all costs. The Admiral says you need to go stop the pirates from taking that generator.
Sheppard 9. Will do. Good luck, Sergeant.
Commander ducked out of the doorway, but shut quickly behind him. He observed the scene. Crates were scattered along the landing platform, preventing larger ships from landing. They will provide good cover. Space pirate shuttles buzzed around the area, attempting to offload troops onto the platform. However, someone was gunning them down with a strange air-to weapon. Sheppard caught sight of said someone. Standing in the center of the platform was the Phrygian Bene Menon. He stood at least 7 feet tall. His form was humanoid, but his body was more reminiscent of some undersea creature. His body was covered in smooth, blue-black armor plates. His head was covered in a long, blue-visor helmet that obscured his face. Unless that helmet was in fact his face. His head ended in stiff, prong-like fingers. On his wrists were strange weapons that fired off beams similar to tech attacks, specifically cryoblasts. The weapons seemed to be able to manipulate ice far better than the standard version most Omni weapons wielded. Sheppard rushed over to Phrygian.
Commander Sheppard?
The alien asked, looking down at the commander for a moment before firing a beam of blue-white energy at an oncoming space pirate. The alien's shields fired, and it fell to the ground.
What are you doing here?
I was in the neighborhood, Sheppard joked, taking cover behind a crate with the alien.
Who are you? Name's Rundrus.
The Phrygian answered. He quickly exited cover to launch a blast of ice energy at an oncoming shuttle. The blast connected with the craft's nose, damaging several flight sensors. Robbed of its vision, the craft banked heavily to the right, before colliding with a wall of sinkhole.
I was supposed to accept a contract here, but the plans seem to have changed.
Sheppard nodded. He saw a pirate charging at them, and unleashed an incinerate blast at him. The fireball hit an alien, igniting its armor. The creature shrieked and hit the ground, trying to put the fire out. Sheppard put it out of its misery with a well-placed shot from his sidearm. Oh, can we have the cane? No, I don't think you place it like that. Ugh.
I was told you needed help defending the generator,
Sheppard told Rundrus.
The alien nodded. I usually work alone, but yeah, some help would be nice at this point. The Marines made a break for it, hoping to get inside. They didn't last long. Pirates hit them with an aerial assault. Never stood a chance.
Have the pirates made it to the generator yet?
Not yet, but
an explosion cut Rundrus off. The blast came from one of the beams overhanging the platform, which had been hit near the end of the generator. The structure groaned loudly and fell. Sheppard and the Merc leapt out of the way to avoid being crushed. The beam smashed onto the platform, shaking the structure and nearly throwing the two of it off. Both hit the ground flat, dazed by the sudden attack. A moment later, one of the strangely shaped space pirate shuttles landed next to the generator entrance. Several crews ascended into the craft, entering the generator area. Rundrus and Sheppard got up.
blast!
Rundrus cursed. He turned to Sheppard.
Any idea where we need to keep them out from taking that generator?
Sheppard nodded. Any suggestions? Rundrus raised his wrist with the beam weapon attached. He powered out the weapon and set it for a cryoblast.
Just one, Shep, he answered. Run and gun. Between the two of us, this will be a breeze.
Sheppard admired the Phrygian's confidence. He just hoped it wouldn't get the two of them killed. Rundrus ran for the generator entrance, his cryo weapon at the ready. Sheppard pulled out his heavy pistol and set it for distractor rounds. The two of them went near the entrance. Rundrus trapped the hologram in the center of the door and plastered himself against the wall as it opened. A flurry of shots from alien plasma bolts greeted them. Luckily, not a single one hit, as both of them were in cover. Once the plasma volley ended, there was a moment of confused silence. Sheppard could hear the space pirates inside bickering amongst each other, uncertain whether there were actually enemies waiting for them, or that it was just a simple Simpsons glitch. There was no longer paying attention to the entrance any longer. Sheppard looked at Rundrus. The Phrygian nodded. Sheppard returned it. The two spun into the doorway, unleashing volleys of destructive rounds of cryoblasts. Sheppard's bullets caught one of the space pirates in the stomach. His shields flared, but the momentum of the bullet caused the alien to bend forward, grabbing its guts. Sheppard let loose 2 more destructive rounds into the pirate's skull. The first ravaged its shields. The second tore into its brain pan. The creature let out an alien shriek as it died. Sheppard moved on to another pirate, who was zeroing in on the commander with its wrist-mounted plasma cannon. The commander fired 2 rounds at its head, tearing through its shields and into its reptilian skull. The hostile alien's body hit the floor, dead. Rudderus quickly dispatched the other 2 aliens with 2 cryoblasts from wrist-mounted weapons. The blast completely ignored the alien's energy shields, and the pirates froze where they stood when the icy projectiles hit them. Rudderus smiled and fired a standard energy beam at their frozen forms, shattering them.
Like I said, a breeze.
That was too easy, Sheppard replied. There's bound to be more.
I hope so.
Rudderus said, chuckling.
We could use the target practice.
Sheppard nodded. The Pharazan reminded him a little of Rex on his mellower days. Let's move in deeper, he suggested. I'll do this quietly. You do what you seem fit.
What are you planning to do?
Rudderus asked. Sheppard responded by simply activating his tactical cloak, vanishing from view. Hey, I never had any of that. That's not how he plays it. Okay, I get it, Trixie. The Pharazan shook his head. Then again, the commander was an infiltrator, not a vanguard or a soldier, or an adept. I'm going to... You mentioned how you play this game one more time, and Trixie is going to hit you with a pillow! Or else, she is going to call your little brother, and he is going to hit you hard! Fine, 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 fine. Sheppard watched as Rudderus ran down the hall. The commander switched to his separate rifle and set it for destructive rounds. He quickly ran for the generator room, completely unnoticed. Although, why would he use a sniper rifle? I mean, that weapon was completely useless when I played it, and I never really quite got to use that sniper rifle. I just fired... Uh-oh. Oh, you are going for a hurting. RPG loader, hit him! Yeah, about that... No! Oh, why is it just me? Rudderus had already engaged the battle when the commander reached the generator. The pirates were putting up a good fight, but they were no match for Pharazan mercenary. Rudderus's kinetic barriers flared as plasma bolt after plasma bolt impacted against his armor. Sheppard climbed up to a catwalk in the room and rested his sniper rifle on the railing. His cloak vanished as the first shot exited the rifle's barrel. The projectile slammed into the skull of a space pirate trooper, tearing through the tissue beneath and exiting through his jaw. The pirate's lifeless body dropped to the floor. Rudderus fired a cryoblast at the pirate, taking out that trooper out of the fight. He turned his attention to another one that was charging him. Before he could kill it, though, the pirate's shields were shattered, and its head exploded. Rudderus looked up to find Sheppard scanning the room from the catwalk on his rifle. The Pharazan nodded to him and turned towards another pirate that was trying to take the generator offline. He charged it, catching the alien in on his shoulder and slamming it to the wall. He dispatched the alien with several shots to the stomach. A lot like Rex, Sheppard thought. The commander fired several more times, dropping 2 pirates that were making their way toward the ladder to his catwalk. However, one managed to climb up to the catwalk and charge Sheppard. Sheppard fired twice from the hip. Both shots missed. When the pirate was less than a foot away, it raised his left arm. An ugly blade made of hard light sprouted from the wrist, and it brought the scythe down, tearing into Sheppard's shoulder armor. Luckily, the plates held, and the attack did not do as much damage as Sheppard had thought. Oh, wait a minute. That's not no ordinary space pirate. It's one of those aliens from Halo! I say this, and I've never played I've only played the first Halo. The pirate brought back his weapon for another swing, but the commander was not about to let that happen. He activated his Omni tool, which quickly flash manufactured a hologram-like blade on the device. He stabbed a dagger into the pirate's chest, bypassing its shields and cutting into its heart. The alien's glass's eyes went blank as its soul left its body. Sheppard withdrew his blade and kicked the pirate's form over the catwalk. The corpse landed next to Rudderus, who was dispatching the fire space pirate with a single, well-placed blast of ice. Sheppard shattered the pirate with a shot from his rifle. Looks like they're all gone, Sheppard responded, looking down from his rifle scope. Rudderus nodded. They were probably just a scout pirate that got lucky, he assumed, turning towards the generator. However, Pharazan paused for a moment. Blast!
What is it?
Just got a notification from Bennett, Rudderus growled. The pirates have turned their full attention to the tower. They're trying to take out the main gun.
You must think that this team took the generator, Sheppard said. Now they're going for the primary weapon, just in case. We need to move, Rundress suggested. Raise you there. The two stormed through the generator hall and back onto the platform. More pirates had arrived, and were clamoring for the entrance to the main tower. Sheppard and Rundress began firing their weapons, and the hostile alien shields exploded as they dropped to the ground. Blue-black blood poured from their lifeless forms. One pirate turned from the door and tapped a button on its armored gauntlet. A shield of orange-glowing iridescence flickered to life on his arm. He held it up and began firing from a notch on the shield. Rundress and Sheppard ducked for cover behind a crate as orbs of plasma hit the ground where they once were. How do you propose we deal with this guy? Sheppard asked, peeking out from behind a barrier to get a better look at the pirate. Like most of the pirates Sheppard had seen, this one stood about the same height as Rundress. It had an ugly, balded pink skin and brownish exoskeleton. Its armor seemed too organic, almost merging with the pirate's body. The shield was large, jagged circle, with veins of light extending toward the edge. Nuts on one side allowed the pirate to fire his wrist blaster without exposing himself from the shield. Rundress let out a low growl and fired a cryoblast at the trooper. The blast simply froze through the shield and quickly melted, not affecting the pirate in the slightest. He knelt down onto the cover and thought, How good are you with that rifle? Ferguson asked. Rundress' question gave Sheppard an idea. He rested his sniper rifle on the crate and peeked through the scope. He centered on the targeting reticle to the pirate's head and the notch. He held his breath. Time to seem to slow as he concentrated. He entered VATS? Sheppard squeezed the tinker. Shriek! 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 Yep, he entered VATS. The destructive round sailed across the platform and slammed into the pirate's hand, tearing through its fingers and boring its way into its wrists. The round's electric field overloaded the space pirate's weapon, causing it to explode. Plasma splattered onto the pirate's gauntlet. The creature screeched loudly and waved its arm, trying to put out the plasma fire engulfing its limb. Rundress fired another cryoblast. This time, the pirate was not paying attention. The ice beam hit the center of the target's mass, instantly freezing it. The alien tipped over and shattered onto the ground. Ooh, nasty.
The infiltrator and the merc stood out from behind their cover.
You know, we make a pretty decent team,
Rundress said. Sheppard nodded, and they made their way to the door. Rundress opened and locked down the door by charging through it. Suddenly, the radio transmitters cracked to life. This is Sazabene, sounded a Marine's voice over the link. We're getting overrun at the Terra elevator. We need help or else... The sounds of shot being fired and static finished the transmission. Sheppard and Rundress knew something terrible must have happened, and rushed toward the elevator at the center of the spire's structure. With any luck, the Marines might be alive. The two dashed through the facility, gunning down any pirates that stood in their way. Luckily, none of them proved much resistance. They rounded the corner to the elevator. The room was littered with pirate bodies. The thick, black blood was splattered to the floor and walls. In the circular elevator shaft stood the Marines, seeming just as shocked as Sheppard and Rundress at the pirates' sudden demise.
What happened here?
Simple. A stoical female voice called from behind him. You two were a little late. I picked up the slack. Oh my gosh. The moment I said that voice, the moment I started reading her dialogue, her theme started playing in my head! And you people are fans, you'd be playing Samus's theme too. Bum bum dun 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 dum. Bum 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 dun 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 dum. Sheppard turned to see a woman clad in orange and gold power armor leap off a beam near the top of the hall and land between him and Rundress. Her armor was civilian made, from the Crestral armor line, but the armor was heavily modified from its original state. The shoulders were larger and rounder, with two small crests running along their tops. The chest plate was out further, and did not form to her chest like most armor suits. On her back were two small jump jets for adjusting with jumps. The helmet, however, looked somewhat like an N7 breather, but heavily modified. The visor was larger than a normal helmet, and colored green. Attached to the arm was some sort of beam cannon, similar to the space pirate's weapons, but completely engulfing her right arm. Along the legs, arms, and hands were glowing green lines. Samus Aran,
Bennett whispered. What in the galaxy are you doing here? Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum! Sheppard had heard that name before. Samus Aran was a famous bounty hunter and merc at the Talon Spur. The commander had heard about her exploits across the galaxy. She had proven more than once she was capable of taking on armies by herself. Stories were abundant about her devastating attacks against the space pirates. And she did it all for creds. All the stories that led Sheppard to assume she was a highly trained Turian or even a Krogan warlord. But this female human, just barely the same height as he was, proved to be quite a surprise. There must be a lot more to her than the eye could reveal. Similar reason to Runders here. She answered Bennett's question, tapping for a few moments on her arm cannon. The weapon retracted and folded into her arm like a large gauntlet. I was supposed to be contracted for a bounty. She then thought for a moment. I'd better get paid for this colony defense, she told the Marine. It wasn't into the contract I was sent. Bennett shook his head. Two of the most famous humans in the galaxy right here, he said. There was no time to talk, though. An alarm began to resonate in the halls, and red lights started to flash on the ceiling. The PA charged with the voice of an officer. A female officer began to announce, Alert! Alert! Incoming high-hazard object! Ridley stood on the bridge of the Orpheon, confident that his troopers could deactivate the colony's defenses in time. He had already heard that a squad of his troops had taken Generator Beta, which meant the garrison's main gun was offline. Everything was going quite well. Nothing could stop his plan. Not even this Commander Sheppard.
Bring it in.
The Lord ordered, turning to one of his officers working at communications console. The officer nodded and began typing at his computer. A moment later, Ridley's true attack came. A colossal meteor left FTL not far from his ship. The rock was wedge-shaped, like a V on its side, with long, rocky tendrils trailing behind it. The whole meteor was positively aglow with phazon. The material was blazing in its holes, and nodules all across the object. Ridley smiled. Things were now about to get interesting for everyone on the ground. His Leviathan scene was on its trek to its new home. Commander! Joker's voice came over Sheppard's communicator.
What's going on, Joker?
He inquired. Shy to hear his voice over the alarm. There's a hell of a racket going on here. The space pirates just brought in one hell of a meteor, the pilot shouted. It's heading for the colony, not far from your position. Looks like something right out of a documentary on the Krogan rebellions. Rudrus raced up to a window and peered out. In the sky, you could see the flames from the gigantic meteor as it began to enter the planet's atmosphere. The fire was tinted blue as phazon on the rock began to melt. The whole situation now proved to be rather unnerving. By the gods. Samus wasted no time. Mission came first, and while this was not her mission, she was obligated to do something. A colony was risk. People needed protecting. She had a job that needed to be done. She was a badass. Nothing more to be said. It's just, she's a badass. I mean, if you look in her middle name, it's officially Samus Badass Aran. It says so right there on her document pages. Even GLaDOS confirmed it. It's true. She is a badass. See, it says right here on her profile. Samus Badass Aran. That's all you need to know. The Huntress got into the elevator and began to activate it. Sheppard followed, as did Rundrus. What now? I'm activating the Phoenix cannon, Samus said finally. With any luck, it will have the power to destroy the meteor. Bennett tried to get on the elevator, but Sheppard shot at him. We need you to stay down here. Keep them from trying to come after us. Commander said, the pirates might try to make their way up to the tower again. You might need help, Bennett argued. When is the ready?
Rogers cut off. Relax, Bennett. We'll be fine. We're the good guys, remember? Justice will prevail and all that stuff, right?
Bennett nodded. He was not much conceding to Rundrus' point, as he was avoiding an argument with a Farzarian nearly 2 feet taller than he was. Plus, Sheppard had a point as well. All right, the Marine said. Good luck up there. Samus activated the elevator, and the platform began to rise up to the tower. Within a few minutes, the group arrived at the top of the spire. The room was at the pinnacle was rather large. The west-facing end were the controls to the main gun. The room was filled with consoles displaying targeting data and other schematics for the cannon. Sheppard and Samus immediately rushed over to the main computer terminal to activate the tower's defenses. The cannon slowly came online as the bounty hunter, Inspector, began typing in firing commands.
Sheppard wished Garrus was here. He might be able to get the weapon online. He was always good with weapons. Always good at calibrating. Ow!
Look out!
Rundress shouted, jumping away from a window. A second later, a pirate gunship crashed through the tower, skidding into a halt at the center of the room. The furious hunter pried open the hatch on the side and raised his weapon, ready to take on the troopers inside. Luckily, the vessel was vacant. It was probably remotely piloted. Just a final attempt to take out the tower.
It's empty,
He informed the others, quite relieved. He looked back inside and noticed a box at the bottom of the craft. He also noticed the flashing blue lights all across its silvery metal surface. He noticed the countdown on the screen on its top. The countdown currently read 5 in Space Pirate numerals. Then 4. Dread suddenly consumed Rundress's mind.
Face on charge!
He shouted, leaping away from the ship. The others did not have time to respond. The bomb exploded, unleashing a concussive blast and face-on radiation into the room. The shockwave knocked all 3 of the warriors against the walls. They fell onto the ground in heaps. All but Samus were knocked unconscious by the blast. Even then, the face-on in the bomb was making her suit's Geiger counter click wildly. The annoying buzzing of the monitor was at least of her concerns, however. The radioactive hazard was beginning to take its toll on her as well. She could already feel the substance's emissions getting to her. The bounty hunters tried to stand up, but fell to the ground. Her legs would not provide the support she needed. Her heads-up display showed her vital signs, were sort of something between critical and redline. She dragged herself to the console to activate the Thanos Canson. Luckily, Sheppard had nearly finished activating it. She gave Spectre credit. Had it just been her, she would have just finished the commands, a task she no longer needed the strength for. All that remained now was to finalize the order with the press of a single button. Samus weakly reset her console and brought her finger down on the command key, and responded with a single, harsh beep. I repeat, Samus is a badass. I mean, I have the documents. It's right here on her birth certificate. When her mother named her as a baby, when her mother had her, she saw the little baby Aaron, and she said, "You know what? I'm going to name give my daughter the middle name of Badass." Okay, when you look in the Hall of Space Badasses, right there is Samus, and they alright gave her entry in there because her middle name is Badass. Badass Aaron. A VI voice sounded from the console. Activating Thanex Defense Tower. Targeting Meteor. I'm just gonna say that's Edie. Because I want Edie in this. I also want this to be freaking Mass Effect 2. Why can't you give it to me? Ridley's eyes widened as the massive stream of white-hot liquid metal spewed into the atmosphere, heading for his Leviathan. The beam quickly blasted its way through the meteor, destroying it. Bits of rock and face-on blasted into space. Other pieces of it that had left would burn up in Orion's atmosphere. Somehow, he had doubted Sheppard had been the one to do this. However, one problem came to mind. A certain troublesome human that always seemed to follow him. "Sir! The Leviathan has fallen!" An officer on the bridge shouted, shocked at its sudden defeat. "What do we do now?" The Dragonlight pirate growled. This was not expected. Failure was not the intended option. Yet troopers on the ground had failed at their task. Hopefully, they had paid for their mistake with their rotten little lives. If any made it back to the fleet, they would certainly wish that they had died in battle.
Retreat.
He ordered.
Call all ships off. Leave those useless ground troops where they lie. If they are back here already, so be it.
The operator nodded solemnly. "Yes, my lord." Ridley snarled as his ship turned away from the Orion and entered FTL. Next time, he would succeed. Samus rolled over and slumped against the console, letting out a semi-relieved sigh. Colony was safe. They had won. Cheers to her. The Huntress looked about the prone forms of Commander Sheppard and Rundress. She was unable to tell whether they were dead or not. Her suit's computers only monitored her biosigns. Theirs were unavailable to her. She could hear Sheppard's pilot shouting from the commander's helmet radio. "Sheppard? Sheppard? Sheppard! Da-da-da-dum! Ba-da-dum!" Trying to reach the commander through the deaf ears. The bounty hunter began to think that the other two had it right at the moment. A long rest would do her good. Besides, the phase-on radiation was making her sick. Her head was throbbing to a blast. She could not retain consciousness anyway. Slowly, she let the blackness take her.
And I think I'll stop right there, because that sounds like a good way to give you guys a good explanation. But for those of you who are worried, don't worry. I did check out the rest of the chapters. Yes, Samus is okay. She did pull through, as did Sheppard and Rundress. You know, this thing is kind of interesting. I mean that. Besides it being well written, and having Sam as a character, something that the game makers can't seem to do. No, I didn't like Other M at all. Like, zilch. And the characters were in character, and the story moved at a great pace, and the stretches were quite nice, and the action was well done. I mean, seriously, that whole gunfight on Narayan was awesome! I mean, there was several all firing, and there was wonders, and the introduction to Samus was beautiful. I was sitting there throughout the entire chapter wondering, okay, when are we going to get to Samus? When are we going to get to Samus? When are we going to get to Samus? And then, near the end, when the Marines are going, we're in trouble! And Sheppard and Rundress come in, and you see piles of bodies of space pirates littering the battlefield. And you just hear Samus come in. As I said, I heard her theme playing. It was glorious. That is the way you introduce a badass. You introduce her like she is just coming from on high to save your sorry flanks. It was gorgeous. But anyway, and to be serious, I have no problems with reading a fic with a male Sheppard. It's just that whenever I play Mass Effect, I always play my Sheppard as a female adept, and I like using psychic abilities. But, hey, that's just the way I play it. But back to why this is interesting. At first, I was wondering where we were going with this, since we were 2 years ahead of Mass Effect 1. Saren had been defeated, yet the crew had all dispersed, leaving Sheppard alone. I was trying to figure out, okay, so what? The Reapers are MIA? The Collectors didn't hit Sheppard's ship? There's no elusive man? I was trying to figure out where the story was going, since this was acting like the events that near the beginning of Mass Effect 1, near the beginning of Mass Effect 2, never happened. Speaking of which, in case anybody's curious, since I owned a PS3, my first experience with Mass Effect was playing Mass Effect 2, then 3, then I got the trilogy. Then I played all 3 games in a row. And yes, I had a lot of fun. Anyway, I was quite curious to where this was going. How did this plot move forward? Then once we reached Orion, I started to see what this is all about. This is a mixture of Metroid Prime 3 Corruption and Mass Effect 2. With the Space Pirates and some of the Phazon taking the place of some of the Collectors and the Reapers. I don't know if that's how they're going to continue going. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the Reapers will pop up later on in the chapter, or the Collectors, or even the Elusive Man. Or, well, I do know for a fact that one of the chapters is called The Angel of the Omega. And all you Mass Effect fans who are listening to this know for a fact that that is, in fact, Garrus's mission. And I took a peek at the next chapter. Tali shows up and joins the team too sooner. So, somehow, the story is mixing Metroid Prime 3, my favorite of the series, and Mass Effect 2, my other favorite of the series. And merging them together in this really nice whole. It's really good. And I'm glad that we had some small bits of downtime and talking between Sheppard and Chakwa, and I kind of do hope that we will have plenty, in the future chapters, we will have plenty of more downtime with Sheppard and Rundress and Samus to actually get more to the characters, because my favorite part of the Mass Effect games is the fact that there is a lot of time when we get downtime with each of the crew members where we can say, okay, hey, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm fine. Tell me a little bit about your backstory. Okay, here's my backstory. Hey, how do you feel about this situation? Well, I feel about this. Because what I find interesting about Sheppard as a protagonist, and I think this fic does it right, is that technically, while Sheppard's personality can drift between being a paragon of goody two-shoes versus anti-hero, he still remains the same. Heroic, willing to plunge headlong into danger, and being awesome. I do like the fact that the game allows you to have different interpretations of that character, and I like the fact that the way this fic is doing it is going with that idea. We're going with one particular interpretation. We're seeing a infiltrator Sheppard who probably is closer to the Paragon side, judging from how he's acting. While at the same time, this gives us a chance to experience the way this author sees him, and allows us to experience his character fully. I also love the fact that we weren't given an exact description of Sheppard. This allows us to imagine what type of Sheppard this character is, and it's kind of a sort of a slight nod to the actual book. Something that I find that Follow Equestria did perfectly when it decided to not tell us what Little Pip looked like, leaving us to interpret her in so many different ways. I mean, I have seen a blonde Little Pip, a brunette Little Pip, a Little Pip with a purple coat, a Little Pip with white hair. The same is said for Sheppard here. I also love the fact that we got a little more screen time with Rundress, because if there's one thing I do feel bad about the games is that Metroid Prime 3 is that we didn't get enough time with the 3 space pirates. I mean, with the 3 bounty hunters, because, well, despite that what we got from their characterization was good enough to build stories off of, I really wanted to see more of them and have Samus more interact with them so we could see more of her plot. Speaking of Samus, good golly, she rocked in this! She rocked in this story! I know you only got to see her for a half a chapter, but good golly, that was enough! That was enough to just basically go, I'm looking for the bloody Yahoo who wrote Other M. Point him out to me so I could blast him! Now you people see why sometimes Other M is hard to swallow, even if you buy the explanation that, oh, well, they used the manga backstory. You use the backstory of a manga that only people in Japan and some yahoos on the internet who have no lives have read. Isn't that like me playing a Dragon Age writing a Dragon Age inconsistent comic, and then putting in skeleton warriors out of nowhere? And expecting you people to know everything? But anyway, yeah, this is the Samus we want. Look at her. She still has plenty of time for characterization. She still has plenty of time to show off what she can do. And she still acts more human than the freaking Samus back in Other M! Nope! I'm still miffed! My gosh, talk about character assassination. I haven't seen a worse character assassination since the last time I read a Von Doom fic. But anyway, these first 2 chapters, I hope, will serve as a really great introduction to you people. And who knows? Maybe one day I might come back to this. I mean, I do have a whole bunch of other fanfics I need to get back to. Speaking of 3 New Century, but anyway, that was one down, guys, and several more to go. I'll see you next time.